everybody, and welcome back at Design Fix on Adobe Live. I'm your host Kladi, and I'm here to help you design fix your brand. So if you're starting a new business, or maybe you're already running a business who needs a little bit of design revamp, this is the place in which you can submit your request and get 1 hour of free design help. Today we're going to be focusing on revamping a logo for a wonderful business. I cannot wait to unveil it to you. That was so exciting. And also we're going to be taking a majority of the part of this hour together to create assets on the brand. So the brand just needs a little bit of restyling. We're going to follow along. We're not going to make a massive change on the actual brand, but then we're going to learn how to use these assets and where to use these assets in order to create a proper brand. So first of all, I wanted to say hi to everybody that is in chat. Josie, Cody Bear, Suijin, Myra, and Joshua, thank you so much for being here with me. Don't forget to let me know where are you watching from. I'm always very excited to learn where everybody is watching from. And of course, if you have any questions, please use the chat both on YouTube or Behance. But let's get started. So I'm just gonna drop into my screen right away because I want to introduce today's business. So today's business is called LVBrown Studio and is the studio of the lovely Laura Virginia Brown. She submitted a request for design fix in order to get some help in restructuring a logo. We can see little elements of her logo here, really tiny, LVB, then LVBrown Studio. Again, you don't see a majority of a logo here, but the reason why I picked this specific business because I could not stop. It's so interesting. So what Laura does, she draws and creates a visual communication of water and ecology, environmental, and signage. So she designs and creates visual communication for the environment in order to help businesses that work within the environment connect with their customers. And I believe that that's her at work, tracing a map so you can see the different way in which she approaches her clients. She's got lovely testimonial, of course, her pencils, because it's all about drawing. And that I just thought that was such a unique brand. Love her energy there. Definitely captured my attention for this stream. So we have a link in chat if you want to learn more about LVB. You got a link there. And also, since you're there, Cody, sharing all these useful links, I want to share right quick how to submit. So if you want to be like Laura today and you want to get my help of my lovely colleague Alex help during design fix here at Adobe Live, you can submit a form at iamkladi.com/design-fix, and or just simply if you head on my own page as well, which is iamkladi.com, you see the first thing is a banner for design fix. You can submit your request, and all you have to do is to fill in a form with your email, your business name, tell us a little bit more about your business, what you want help with, of course, any information that is useful, and a data consent. Boom, send request. I'll have a browse, and I'll let you know when you feature for the next episode. And today I'm going to go ahead and jump right away into Illustrator to show you a little bit of before and after. And of course, we're going to navigate that together. But I'm going to start by Laura request. So as we've seen, this is the current logo. And I'm going to start with a little bit of critique, nothing personal, just a little bit of advice from my branding point of view. So as we've seen, this brand wasn't working really for the website. Also, we have a ton going on. We have the lovely texture underneath, which I completely get it. That's something that we're going to carry on in through the new rebrand. This stands for the materials that she uses, the fact that she's also, there is like almost a patch, as if it's like a map, something that is delimiting an area with colors. That's exactly what her business does. But then when we come to the colors, I'm not sure if purple is really the colors that will connect with the environment. And then when we come to her initial, we have LVB. We have the V and the B, they're touching, so it almost feels like one shape, so it's like LVB. And then again we have the same repeating, LVBrown Studio LLC. That's a lot for someone to take in. Remember, when we talk about branding, we want to create something that is memorable, easy to remember, easy to just get imprinted in your eyes. My business, the business that I run, is called Printmysoul, and that's the idea of the customer coming to me and say, please, can you print? Can you mark my soul? And the soul of the business needs to be easy, recognizable to a branding and therefore a logo, which is kind of the summary of all the branding elements into a single visual, both letterings or iconography. Like in this case, we got both. And we have Joshua watching from San Mateo, Suejin from San Francisco, Garrett Williams. Garrett, I believe you're in the UK. Let me know where you're watching from. So this is the starting point. Also, we have the request. Just to give you an idea, if you don't know what you're going to have to put in the form, Laura filled in brilliantly. So she just gave me an idea of what her business does. She illustrated maps. And by the way, I created all these little bullet points. This is the way that I analyze things. If you see a request, it was actually, let me see if I can go ahead and catch that real quick on the web. Let me see if I find the right page to share with you. So here, her page, see, so she just like wrote pretty much a paragraph of the thing that she wanted in the form. So you do not have to worry about creating a bullet point. That was just me trying to understand what she was saying in her paragraph. So she creates illustrated maps, conceptual design plans, environmental illustration to communicate natural resources project, focusing in particular on water. Finished parts include plans, renderings, signage design. Work needs to be friendly, accessible, quite relaxed in order to explain complex environmental issues to the public. Such a wonderful job, Laura. I'm so jealous. I'm happy to be here to help you. And of course, our brand needs to imagine, visualize, and communicate the places, project, and mission to the clients, to the audience. So she's looking for some brand consistency for a social platform and repackaging of finished artwork for Instagram grid, carousel, reel, and so on. So what I've done here started by capturing a little bit more of her work. And as you can see, that was my first comment. So my first comment is, first of all, on the letters. So although Laura didn't request a little bit of help on the letters, I wanted to point it out. I'm specialized in branding, so I could not let it go. I'm so sorry. And hopefully she'll be happy with it. Otherwise, she can take on board the idea in terms of iconography, in terms of social media, and then just maybe address that. But I just decided to dedicate this hour to make sure to tackle the branding side as well in terms of typography. LVBrown Studio, LLC is confusing and is hard to remember. So also, LVB or LVBrown, and then all LVBrown Studio. I've noticed on her website that LVBrown Studio was what she was using more. So if we head back to, first of all, Instagram is LVBrown Studio, and then again the website is LVBrown Studio, and the welcome on our website is LVBrown Studio. So why not to stick with LVBrown Studio, since already from the usage seems that ends up to be what she uses all over her main communication point. Then the second thing that I noticed was color palette. As you can see, those are just literally screenshots that I've taken from her website. That's her amazing work. So we got some maps, we got some signage, and some information here regarding what was going on with the particular project. That we have some illustration and so on. Those are all screenshots, and as you can see, there is not much purple going on. There is a lot of yellows, green, blues, and all the color of earth, land, and water. So what I've done is use one of these images to start with. As you can see here, create a little color palette. And just to show you how I extracted a color palette, we're going to do it with this image, but also with more. You will be able to select any photo. Again, this is just a screenshot. And from here, I went into the object menu, of course, selecting your photo first, and then go ahead and select Create Object Mosaic. The purpose of this tool is to create a mosaic. My purpose and the reason why I use it is in order to create a color palette from an image. Mind-blowing. Go ahead and make sure to select Create Object Mosaic, and from here you will see that we have the Create Object Mosaic little option windows popping up. And you can choose the different size. I'm going to keep it exactly the same size. Again, I'm not focusing on creating mosaic, so I'm not really bothered about the size of my, rectangles or mosaic that is going to come out. I want to make sure that I can delete the raster. That means delete the original image. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. Boom, look what happened there. I've literally created a color palette. So those are, they're grouped. So Shift Control G in order to ungroup them. But those are literally little pieces of puzzle. Let me just go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. Also to ungroup, you can select it, add to object and ungrouped, Shift Control G. And you can select each one of these little rectangle. Look at that. This is pretty much the exact image that we had before. And that allows us to just go ahead and isolate some of the colors. So let's see, we can start to isolate maybe the green, the blue, the browns, and maybe some of the sage colors, maybe some of the yellow, to start to isolate some of the prominent color in our art. And we can go ahead and maybe use this other image as well, just to see. And again, those are just sample images from our website. You can go ahead and use any image you want. This is just a very, very quick method to extract color. Another way, which is probably what everybody's been used so far, is to go ahead and use the rectangle tool from the toolbar, or press the letter M on the keyboard, click and drag to create a rectangle, press the letter I to create the little eyedropper tool, or you can use the eyedropper tool from the toolbar, exactly the same. The letter E is just a shortcut. And then head and just pick the color from the map or from the image. And then again, create a duplicate, letter I, and pick up another color, and then do that and over again, and it takes ages. While instead you can simply click on the image, again, object, create object mosaic, and boom, you have all the color that you need, and you can start mixing it. And probably a good idea if you have representing a brand, like in this case, that creates many different visuals, is to grab a few to understand which are the colors that keep coming in and repeating. So Laura already gave us an heads up by saying that our brand was more about water. So in fact, we can see that we have many different shades of blue coming up. Also here, I'm just putting everything on the canvas. If you want to place everything on an artboard, you can use the shortcut Shift O to bring up the artboard tool, which you can also find inside your toolbar. Here it is, just click on it, and then you can click and drag anywhere in your canvas in order to create an artboard. Now remember, artboard are usually where we put our final output. So if you're printing something, the artboard is exactly showing what is going to be printed in your final design. But in this case, when we're just brainstorming, we can also use the artboard as a particular background, and I use that because also I have a dark canvas. You can change that if you wish from your preferences. Control K, Command K if you're working on a Windows machine to access Illustrator preferences. And right away it should be from interface, I believe, user interface. As you can see, I got nearly the darkest one because I love the contrast, and I work on my computer quite a lot, so I tend to go with a darker workspace and interface. You can although choose a dark interface maybe for your workspace, but you can have a white canvas if you wish. I find it confusing having a white canvas and a white artboard, although the artboard are outlined by this little black stroke. Completely up to you. I used to match it to the brightness, so of course my workspace and my canvas will be of the same color. You can have everything lighter. I believe the lightest one is like this is like the standard default. I've always had it at this color here, so I just generally do not remember. And by the way, you can also change the UI scaling of your Illustrator. So of course some changes will take effect from next time that we restarted. That's why you do not see anything happening at the moment. But having said that, I just wanted to give an explanation why I'm using an artboard. Although artboard are for finished product, we can also use it as a little bit of a backdrop here. Also, another way which I want to show you, since we're here, to create a backdrop that you do not have to use as an artboard, is to use a shape, in this case a rectangle. I'm going to press the letter M. Lots of shortcuts when you're working with me. We really want to teach you how to work faster and smarter, but everything that I'm mentioning is always here in terms of tools inside the toolbar. So of course we can always click on the rectangle tool from the toolbar right there, as you can see is there. And then we're gonna go ahead and select draw behind, which is again a tool that is inside the toolbar. If you go ahead and click, you will see that we have the little draw behind, which will allow us right away to draw behind. So as you can see, I'm drawing behind already, and I'm gonna go ahead and press the letter D to set it to default, which will make the fill white and the stroke black. Those are the default color setting for Illustrator, letter D. Otherwise you can click at the little icon here on the left of the stroke and fill control to set it to default. And by doing so, what I've done is simply created a rectangle. Now I'm going to set my drawing back to normal. And now that I've created this rectangle, this is just a shape, but you can use the shortcut Control 2 or Command 2 if you're working on a Mac, or you can also head to Object and select Lock. That's pretty much the same thing. Here we go. Control 2, I'm going to leave it there if you want to take a little screenshot. With the shortcut Control 2, Command 2 on the Mac, you will be able to lock any object that is selected inside your canvas. Here we go, pro tip there. So Control 2 to select it. So now we have locked this, we have locked this little element. So is there, although it's not an artboard. So if we go ahead and we, for example, experience the trim view, which hides everything that is not going to be printed, or is not going to be an output either for web or for print, you will see that little color palette will be hidden because is not an artboard. So maybe that's a more clever way to work if you need somewhere which is like a scrap piece of paper, like where you can have all your sketches inside Illustrator. Cody saying, I love the dark interface. Yeah, let me know in the chat, which color interface do you use? And let's see if there is any question. We have Gareth Marshall from Leeds, UK. Lovely to see you here. Gareth Williams is from Scotland. So we have a lot of UK in the house. We have Chile with David Daniels. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And Joshua is saying also dark interface user. Let me know which color of interface you use. Again, I just think that is easier on the eyes. Okay, so here, as you can see, we started to create an idea of the color palette. I think it's a great inspiration, and especially here when we're dealing with a lot of colors, a lot of greens, a lot of blues, it just gives an idea also of the use of the color that we can perhaps use and introduce inside the branding. Okay, so the second thing that, of course, as I said, I wanted to, and let's do a little bit of a reveal at this stage. I think we're already 15 minutes in the stream. I want to do a little bit of a reveal of what is that's not exactly the final one. Let me see if I can go ahead and jump into Express, because that's where we're going to be working today to show you the actual final. That wasn't the final. I believe that I actually downloaded inside my machine. Probably is going to be, let's see if we find it here. Seashore was our previous project, and we have LVB Studio, and it should be this one. Let's go ahead and extract it all and extract it so I can show you already some of the things that I've ended up creating, and those were my final in terms of what I wanted to create. So this is what I moved towards, and that's where I wanted to show you. That's what I want to show you right away. So why it's so important to pick up colors, and why, look at that. I didn't have it like that before, but now I have literally, let me go ahead and close this. I have Laura website and I have the brand, and they really seem to talk to each other and really represent also the rocks. I didn't even done that on purpose. The rocks and the colors of the banner that she has, because those are simply the colors that appear over and over again inside our website. So we have the cream colors, we add a watercolor green that offer us in a single shape and in a single tool many shades of green, which is what we see. Same for the blue. We have darker blue and lighter blue, and of course we have the pencil, and we have the LVBrown Studio, made up of lines and a very clean and easy to understand typography with a little dot. Just because the reason why I introduced this font, we're gonna have a look at the choices of font that I made, is because it just really reminded me of the way the maps are drawn. So very geometric and with a lot of dots, and I really love that this font in particular, although was a serif, instead of just having a plain little rectangular serif, had a lot of dots to complement the design, and that's why I enhanced that use by putting a dot in between the Brown Studio. Also want a LVBrown Studio coming through when you read the brand. And again, since I'm giving you a little bit of a preview of what's going to happen here, the way that then you can extend this application of the brand is, of course, to, start to expand. That's a little bit more of the textures coming through. And then here you see that we have the same color, the same textures paired up with her work. All of this was made in Adobe Express. This is ready to go into Instagram, already as a white box where she can give more details about her project. And same here, different way of framing it and reusing the consistency of the watercolor. And again, how it can come through also in something like a Facebook advert, and how easy and beautiful it is to reuse all this color palette. Okay, so let's jump back a step back because I was fast forwarding toward the result. As you can see, I also give it a go, and we will give it a go with the colors that she selected, because probably those are her favorite colors, blue and purple. Although I wanted, and I decided I was trying to please and not to go too far away from the original brand, because we've seen that was the original brand. But then, you know, my job and the job of every designer should be to be a true consultant and really help you when you are creating your brand. And your brand is not about you, it's about helping the people, connecting with the people that are going to hire you and you're working with and you're working for. Therefore, you know, my favorite color is turquoise, and not necessarily, you know, everybody likes turquoise, so not necessarily turquoise is the right color for me to communicate my name, rather than perhaps just black and white. In this case with Laura, her design really is focused on earthy colors, especially she said water, so yes to blues, but more with a variation of green and also earthy browns and yellows. And that's why, despite the fact that I did keep, and by the way, this is not a gear, this just has the little dots coming through, again, as the idea of the map, but then I decided to move away from it and really focus on this. But I decided to, you know, it's her business at the end of the day. She has the option to either go for one or the other. They both work. There is both the idea of colors, watercolors, different entities, materials, and all them merging together. I just think that, you know, when I started, we'll head up into Adobe Express, and you'll see how when you start to place our images inside this color combination, it just makes sense. While around that purple, I just felt like, why do I have that background? And to me, whenever you're creating a design and whenever you are developing a concept, is all about the why. Whenever I work, or, you know, I have any collaborators and they come up to me, hey Kladi, I want to do a change, or I want to implement something, I don't mind. What I don't like to hear, and I'm sure that no clients likes to hear, and you have to coach your clients also, is not about what you like, it's about the reason. So why? What is the reasoning behind? So when someone comes to me with a change or with a proposition, it's not about if I like it or not, but it has to make sense to the brief in order to match the concept. So again, when I was designing this, and my only, question, when I question myself and be like, why am I using this purple? Okay, I'm using this purple because I'm sure that Laura loves the purple, but does it really connect with the final concept, with all the notes that I took about her business, with the images that I took from her business? Well, the answer was no. And that's why I decided to give her a version with it, but I also then dropped it and then started to develop more interaction with the color palette that, as you can see, we very, very quickly extracted from her work. Let me see if there is any other question in the chat. Let me know if you have any question about branding. I also have a wonderful package that is available for you on my website and allows you to, get a little bit of everything that I'm talking about branding. Might sound a little bit complex as well. If you head to my resources and then branding bundle, you have all sorts in there, included a little dictionary or glossary. So in the glossary you can just see all the terms about branding, brand image, intangible logo, logotype, brand association, messaging, concept. Everything that I've been talking about right now is really broken down into the branding. Then you have a contract as well, and then mood board, color, logo development, which is pretty much roughly what we're doing right now, and how to present it to a client, included a mock-up. So that is available for you for free to get on my website, kladi.com/branding bundle. And now let's go back into Illustrator to finalize the logo before we jump inside Adobe Express to then create. Actually, I refined the logo entirely in Adobe Express. I love the watercolors. It's such a time saver. It's literally a toolbox that allows anyone to make any graphic for their businesses. And in fact, Laura will be able to take the logo, the new logo if she likes it, or again to use the one that she has, and then leverage the power of Adobe Express in order to bring it together. So as I've shown you here, I was looking for a font that it was very playful, very nice, and easy to read, very relaxed. I love this one as well. I believe it's Dean, but I think that I've used Dean a couple streams ago, and I use Dean all the time. I just find it so legible and so easy to the eye. Here it is. It's one of my favorite. Also love that. And the reason why I decided to just use it for the LV is because then I think that as much as it's fun, it started to become too designy and too architectural and not necessarily representative of the more natural atmosphere and environment that this business is about. Again, here, I love that this font in particular, which is called Botanica. This one here, if you're interested, is called Continuo. All these fonts are available on fonts.adobe.com. You can also access from the character panels here. Find more, you will have access, and you will be able to browse, preview, and activate Adobe fonts instantly directly from your app. Otherwise, you see the list. It should appear in just a second. It's probably because I'm streaming. It goes a little bit slower because I'm still streaming here, but you will be able to see all the list of font that are from Adobe Font, and there is a little cloud here on the right. If you click on the cloud, you can activate automatically. Here it is. With a little patience, we were able to see it. So if you hover on it, you can simply try it on your text. And here on the cloud, if there is a green tick, not green tick, if there's just a tick, it means that it's already active. You can deactivate it if you want to, but otherwise, if you click, there is a down pointing arrow that allows you to download and activate the font directly in your machine. So literally you see it, you try it, ready to go, ready to use. You can also use the filters. I did use the filters for this specific project. I was looking for something that it was sans serif or then serif. I tried it both, but I for sure chose something that it was a medium thickness and it didn't have contrast. So those were my specifics that I had. Let me go back into our Continuo because we're going to use that. And then I landed to this font, which to me was just perfect. We have curves, we have corners that reminded me, we have the little dots of the serifs, which really reminded me of the maps, and a lot of these dots, which are very present, like when you have a map, when you're pinning or pinpointing somewhere. So I love that the R, the S, really started to bring in a little bit of this more round approach, which is more friendly than a pure serif that has more points. Let me see. CC Heart. My client is dead sent on a palette that does not match their business or goals, and the color temps don't match. They are tired of choosing and put their foot down for this palette. What can I do? Okay, so the first is it's a mustard and light lavender and cool charcoal, not the one I suggested. So first of all, CC, the first thing that I will do is to create your proposal. So whenever a client says no, if you think that there is something that works best and you have the reason why, you just created the palette. Again, we're not talking about a final design. I will never suggest you to do a final design for free. If that's not what they want, that will be a waste of your time. But in terms of color palette, if you create a beautiful layout with a color palette, you can do that in Adobe Express real quick. And the reasoning, maybe associating their work, associating basically what I've done here, with their images. I don't know what their business is about, but as long it's all about the reasoning. If you go with a color palette and the reasoning in one single paper, nice and neat, and you tell them that the reason why they hire you is to help them to have a professional support in terms of their visuals, and that is the reasoning why these colors are, what you're proposing, then their choice will look unreasonable. And also something that I always told, no matter how stubborn, I've never been afraid to tell a client, your business is not about you. I literally will walk into meetings and be like, we're talking about your business, forget yourself. It's all about your customers, because your customers is what are going to bring you money. So if you want a customer to connect to you, to come and give you business, forget it. If you have a favorite color palette, go and do your interior design. Maybe choose your car, choose your, what you wear, but don't make it about your business. Or if they really want it, choose, propose them to do like a personal website. Maybe they want a personal website, and that's where they can represent themselves as a person. But for the business, just be very upfront and straightforward and say, the business is not about you, it's about your clients. Those are the colors that I picked. These are the reason why. If you want to be unreasonable and go ahead with your choice, I just cannot support it because there is no reason behind it. Or even better, if they're still stubborn, just ask them what is the reason why they choose this color. And if their reply is because they like it, well, you need to tell them that that's not what business is about. It's about what their customers like. I hope that was useful. If you don't believe, like, I was really that straight with my clients, and as much as you can be a little bit afraid of talking like that with your clients at the beginning, they will love you and appreciate and come back because they will feel supported. So make sure that you really show your research as well when you propose something different. Okay, so as I said, I landed on this particular font because it really tied in, again, reasoning behind, it really tied in with the brand and with the map. Look at that, we have the drawings, we have a lot of little segments, but also we have a lot of circles. And to me, that was literally a geometric font, easy to read, very friendly with all these curves and also circle and segments. So boom, it did it for me. And I wanted to something in contrast, a little bit more complex, but still very geometric. And that's why I decided to go and match the continuo with this font, which is called Ernestine Pro, which also has two families. So in the family we have two weights. So we have the light and we have also the bold italic, which is a little bit of a slight italic, which I didn't like, and it started to become too chunky. At the same time, this one, it was too thin. If you see, that's one of the main difference between this initial version of the logo and then the final one that I showed you after. So what I've done here is create a copy by using the Alt key or simply Control C, Control V or Control F to paste in front. I'm going to go ahead and stretch these little artboard a little bit more so we can use it as a playground. And here I just kept the brown and studio and I just placed a dot in between. Again, just to reiterate and to break down, because we're going to put the LV on top. So there was LVBrown Studio. The dot not only just sort of reinforce the visuals of the reason why I've choose these fonts, because there's all these round, friendly, cozy aspects, but also gives us a break between Brown Studio, because it will be LV Brown Studio. No, is when you read, because it's a period, is a dot, and we're all used when we read pretty much internationally to pause when we see a dot. So we automatically will read the brand LV Brown Breath Studio. That's what that dot is there for. I hope it makes sense. Let me know in the chat if you have any other question. Cece, good luck with your meeting. I really hope that let me know. Feel free to message me on Instagram, by the way. And if you want more advice, I'm actually literally started to planning. If you follow me on Instagram, you see that I went a little bit quiet. It's just because I'm restructuring right now. So there is a lot of work behind the scene. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put a break. There's been a lot of going on in my life as well. So I just needed to put pause. But I'm going to start to give more branding advices as well. So if you go on my Instagram, is @IamKladi.com. A ton of tutorials. Some of them have gone crazy, like this one is now, I don't know, I've seen one that it was absolutely crazy. Yeah, it was like 1.7 million. But they're all tutorials, majority in Illustrator, Photoshop as well, but a lot is coming. Here is the form with the lovely Alex to take part at Design Fix. Feel free to message me. That is the place where I reply the majority of the time. Do not really use my email. But if you want to let me know, CC, I'll go. Just feel free to message me at @IamKladi, and I will be super happy even if to give you further advice for your meeting regarding the branding project. Okay, so that was pretty much where I was. Again, once I create the logo, I always make sure that I have somewhere an original of the font before using the magic Shift Control O in order to outline it. And now I cannot edit it anymore. I transformed my text into a shape. Same here, you can also go into type, outline type. I believe is that create outlines, Shift Control O. There will be Shift Command O if you're working on a Mac. I'm working on a Windows machine, therefore is Shift Control O. And that will allow you to transform your text into a shape, but you won't be able to edit the text anymore. Another thing that I've done, just because it was taking too much space, is to just squish a little bit this LV, just again to bring everything together, and then select them both and use the align options inside the properties panel to align them horizontally to the center. So here we go, LVBrown Studio. And then, as I said, this was a little bit thin when I started to play with it. From when you start to like literally go a little bit smaller, you can really feel that it's a little bit too thin, especially in white, especially when we know that we're going to implement stuff like textures and so on. Then we're going to go ahead and add a little stroke. Now, when you add stroke at this moment is kind of fine, but sometimes when we add stroke, and I remember I had a friend, Sam, was telling me that she was adding stroke and everything wasn't looking all spiky. Well, the reason is because sometimes there are certain points that start to go out. What you want to do when you create a stroke around a type, around an object, especially around type, is to make sure to click on the stroke and from there set the cap and corners to round. By doing so, that means that every cap and every corner, instead of pointing out and be just spiky, will be rounded up. And then you can choose to have the stroke aligned to the center or also outside, which is a little bit too much. We're just going to keep it to the center. You can also have it inside. It doesn't really do much for this purpose. Like if you just wanted to, you know, have the stroke inside, that's the way it looks. It just becomes really not readable. So I'm going to go back and keep my font and then my fill, sorry. And then the stroke, let's go back and put it back to the middle. I think right now it's still at the inside, that's why we don't see it. Here we go. So what we've done, because we didn't have see, this is the heavier weight. So the heavier weight, it was still too chunky and slightly italic, which I didn't like. So I managed to get something that is indeed thicker than the original lightweight of the family Ernestine Pro, but I've created it just simply by adding a little bit of stroke and making sure that I rounded corners and caps. Okay, so well, looks like that we're ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that those again are aligned, and then I create a copy. And I also, in this case, because we have a stroke, I'm gonna go ahead and use the object, path, outline, stroke. And then as you can see here, we have now transformed the stroke into a path. Here we go. And that gives us a ton of path that we're gonna merge together into one by using the unite action, the unite option of the Pathfinder tool, which you can find inside the properties panel, but also inside the Pathfinder panel, which is as every panel, by the way. If you see me clicking around using panels, you don't see it on your workspace. They're all located here under the top window menu. Boom, here they are. By the way, I have an announcement. I haven't really shared that anywhere, but I've just finished my Illustrator Quick Start course for LinkedIn Learning. So if you head on LinkedIn Learning, you're going to be able to get started. And I really do a deep dive on the Illustrator tools. So if you're just a beginner and you want to have a little bit more knowledge, you can just go ahead and use that course, because I literally just finished. It's got all the nice feature like 3D, intertwine, and so much more. But in this case, again, window, you can use just simply use the properties panel, or here we'll also find the Pathfinder panel here. And then I'm going to use the first icon, which is unite, and as magic, boom, everything gets united. Let me see if I perhaps undo and use another color so you can see here. Can you see with a little bit of contrast? The blue strokes let us know that that's the little threshold of the path. And then if you just click once, boom, they all go, because they get united all in one. They get merged. One click, but lots of action happening there. Okay, so what I've done here is also create a white version. Command G to group it, and then you can move it somewhere inside your canvas so you can see the lovely contrast there. From the libraries panel, we can go ahead and create a new library. As you can see, I already created one for our LVBrown Studio, and you can simply go ahead and drag elements inside the artboard. I'm just going to go ahead and bring an image as well. Let's see, I'm just going to go ahead and start to bring some of the images that I have here. By the way, those were screenshots from our website, which are now available directly on our libraries. If you've not used the power of the libraries, you probably heard me talking about it over and over again. I love libraries. They are basically a safe box for your assets. As you can see, I use one per each single project. I have a ton. Those are all libraries of projects that I'm creating. And here I have color palette, logos, images, everything that I need for different events, for different projects that I work with. That was last week. We worked with the Seashore Lane. We have the color group. By the way, if you have a specific color group, you can also go ahead and select a color group that you want. There are too many blues here. Let me go ahead and just simplify this selection. You can automatically head on by selecting your colors. You can head to the swatches panel, transform your selection into a swatch group here by simply clicking on the little folder and creating a new color group, making sure your selected art is selected. So here it is, and then you can just simply boom, throw that inside your color group. Of course, that's a wrong folder, so let's go ahead and delete this one and make sure that we are back into our LVBrown Studio, and we can now boom, go ahead and add this color group inside the library. But now the beauty is that when we're going to jump now inside our lovely Express, we have all of these available for you inside the libraries panel, which is or tool, whatever you want to call it, inside Adobe Express. Here it is. We have our LVBrown Studio with the images they've just added there with the logo version. So we are ready to create. I'm going to go ahead, and click and drag to make sure that I group all of these here, and I'm just gonna make it smaller for now, so I'm gonna leave it on the side to show you what I've done. By the way, look how beautiful it is. Like I'm just gonna do something real quick here. So I'm gonna head to the library and then just choose an image and simply make this image the same size here of the post. And it looks like pixelated because it just needs to take a moment to sink in. I'm going to bring that to the bottom, and then we have the logo here. So look how beautiful. So you can also use this logo simply as a watermark for our art. But I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that because I want to show you how you can start to bring in these elements, which, as I said, they are super easy to find, and anyone, even if you're not a designer, you can create amazing graphic thanks to the wonderful Adobe Express. Before we get started, a real quick introduction. If you've not used Express before, express.adobe.com is the place to go. And here you have many different assets that you can start with. So you can see you can create a new project confidently by using these different artboard, which are already sized for you. So look, we have YouTube thumbnail, Facebook post, Instagram story. So we're going to start with a logo one. That's what I work with. So those are empty canvases. They just give you directly the right size for an invitation, YouTube thumbnail, Facebook post. You don't need to know even the correct resolution. And also you will be able to invoke the power of templates, which are highly and completely fully customizable. We're going to see if we have time to squeeze a template. Otherwise, you can go back and watch the previous stream. By the way, this stream is also recorded. So what's up to everybody from the future that is watching this on a replay? You can go ahead and look at previous streams as well. I kind of dig this one here. I think it's quite lovely. They're so beautiful. All you have to do is to search here. I think I searched something like geography to start to see and have an idea if there was something that could spark my interest. I also use the template just as an inspiration, just to see in terms of colors if there is some sort of iconography, maps. I love this illustration here. We might be able to use it later on, but let's jump back. Here at the bottom you have your recent project. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how, by selecting logo, we have a white canvas. How do we get to this stage here of the final design? Well, we already refined the library with our logo, so we just simply drag from Illustrator. And by the way, I'm not sure if anybody show you this, but I gotta show you. You can simply go ahead and select anything you want inside Illustrator, press Command-C to copy, and then head back inside Express, which, by the way, Express is anywhere, anytime, available as a browser or on your tablet and mobile as an app, and then Control-V to copy, and boom, everything that you have in Illustrator copied inside Express in just one click, and it's absolutely amazing. So that's another way. I prefer to use library just so I can access this then if I want to do an animation in Photoshop, After Effects, use a poster in InDesign. I can just use the library everywhere. Also, libraries come on your phone, so you can download assets. So many times I was traveling and I needed some sort of assets, even to do my Adobe Live little promos, and I had everything there. So I have a library for Adobe Live, I have the Adobe Live logo, everything that I need for Design Fix or how to or the stream. Just went there from a mobile, went to the Creative Cloud app, downloaded from my library, ready to go. Okay, so here the first thing that I'm gonna do is to start with my design assets, and as you can see, I absolutely love them. You have a trending one, so you have the most popular one. I did spend pretty much an entire afternoon to look for these watercolors, but you can find them under brushes. RB, what's up? Lovely to see you here. Ernesto, love that you like it, and love that you like to use Adobe Express. By the way, we got like about 10 minutes to go. If you're enjoying this stream, it will mean the world to me if you give me a thumbs up, both on YouTube or on Behance, not in the chat. There is a blue icon under the video on Behance, or I don't know what color it is on YouTube, but I think it's white. Please give a thumbs up on this stream. It really helps us out to let us know if you're enjoying this stream, if it gives you content, if you find it useful, if you're having fun. And don't forget to subscribe on the Adobe Live YouTube channel. There is a ton of content, amazing streamer, fantastic show, talented people coming on and just sharing their workflow, which I think is amazing. Here we go. So what I've chosen here, as I said, take the time to explore it because there is a ton. I discovered things that even if I used it pretty much since it was launched, now I discovered new things thanks to this stream. If you go ahead under watercolor, you will be able to explore all these amazing watercolor. Now, the reason why I selected watercolor is because once you go back to the mood board and the mosaic that we created here, for those of you that are just maybe joining now, all we've done is selected an image. It's that easy that I can show you literally in 5 seconds. With your image selected, you go to create object mosaic, and then click on OK. Boom, here it is. We literally create color palette from an image in a click. You can start to see that we have many shades of the same colors, and usually in a brand you do not want to have too many colors. So if I start to go with blocks colors, look at that, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, way too much. Usually in branding, 2 top 3 colors, but generally 1 hero color and then 1 secondary color is what we need, and then a third one just to give accent. So what I've done here is to try to use watercolor because I wanted to really achieve multiple shades, in this case of green and blue. So what I've done is to first of all explore the marbled one. That was the purple because that kind of like recalled the original logo that Laura had. I'm just gonna leave that there. I'm not sure that was the correct one that I used, but we're going to leave that there for now. As you can see, look how gorgeous they are. By the way, simply click on it. It will appear inside your canvas. You can click on the corner on the bounding box to resize it. You can apply filter to change color as well. So you're not stuck with the simple color that you have there. You can apply effect, give shadows, all sorts. Really, really fun exploring. I think that this is the one that I ended up using. It's just sitting there. It looks like it's also flipped. Here it is. Yeah, here it is. So I'll just use this one here. Now go and remember the one that I selected because I've been playing with so many. Also, we have a blue, and I kind of remember, I think it's this one over here. No, it's not. Looks, it's got different feature. The one that I've selected, this was a little bit too smooth. It's lovely if you're working maybe with like resin, if you're working with like marble, with stuff like that, but I didn't think it was correct. Also, I think my eyes are playing with me a little bit here on this screen, but you got the gist. So there are a ton, and also I'm going to show you there is also a ton of graphics that we're going to be playing with, because probably I got it from the graphics. So those are single elements that you have just singularly there, and you can select one at a time. If you go and find the one that I've choose, let me know, because there are so many here. And then you can go back. Probably these are in the cool color because those were the marbled one. If you go in tool tones, I think that those were the one that I've selected, the 2 blue that I've selected. Yeah, because those are like not less marbled. And I believe that there was this one. Here it is. So we have our dark blue. Just gonna go ahead and delete those, although they're gorgeous. But again, there is a reason why I loved absolutely the one that were more marbled before. But they told me, you know, if she was drawing minerals
or again raisins or that sort of materials, I think that that would have been more appropriate. I really need to have a look at the time because it's going way too fast here. So we have all these elements of the logo, and then again, just keep going and insert here. I think I went back and added probably these, another blue. You can also layer them differently using either the layers or this little icon that allows you to organize it. And then from the design assets, I went and used the graphic groups, and that's where I found all the rest of like the circles or that brown. I think it was this one here. No, that's a little rectangle. That's where I got the drawing from. So as you can see, you can grab elements here. You can just simply select and ungroup and just sort of steal elements that you might need. Nope, that's the one that I need. That was the idea of, you know, that graphic pen, the drawing, the really give the idea of the pencil that she also has on her website. Here it is. And then what I've done here, because I wanted more to be like a pencil, I just applied it as filter and made it darker because again, I just wanted to give that pencil idea. And I think I used one of these ink and just brought it to the top. You can just, again, here layer it up as much as you want using these lovely layers on the side of Adobe Express. And then simply, whenever I was ready, I think we're missing one color, which is somewhere here inside the design assets. Let's see if we find it. It's just like a brown circle. Otherwise, we're just going to go ahead and select another circle and give it the same color. I'm just simply clicking. I don't see very well at this time of the night here. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup and delete this image. And I'm just going to use that for now. Maybe ungroup this one as well. I love that little black shape as well. I wish I've seen that before. And we're going to use this color, and maybe we're just going to go ahead and change its hue by applying a filter. There we go. It's pretty much closer to what we wanted here. We can make it a little bit more transparent. So it's similar to what we want, and we layer it exactly where it was. Again, you can have a play and really adjust that, explore. I'm sure you'll be able to find the one that are there. And then simply from the libraries panel, I just went and selected the logo. And once the logo gets dropped in, which is, here it is in here in white, it was hard to see, we can go ahead and click on the bounding box to resize it and place it inside. Again, you will probably be able to do the same over here. I stayed away from those colors again because I found them not representative of our work, so we can go ahead and delete it. And this is this version of the logo. But real quick, in order to tie in the graphics, all I have done once I've created the logo is to click on plus to add the page, and then you can choose if you want an Instagram post, an Instagram story, a Facebook post, a letter, a poster, all custom to choose whatever you want. And then in this case, I'm going to go ahead and create an Instagram story. And then what I've done here, I went and copied. So I'm still within the same project. I simply copied and pasted the logo. I'm going to go ahead and delete the LVBrown Studio, because if that's the story, that means that it's already there. And I simply reused the same elements that were part of the logo simply by making bigger. And look at that. Once we start to make these textures bigger, you'll really start to see the reason why I've used these particular colors and these particular textures is because I really wanted the effect of the earth and sea and you know, all the different elements that are inside our maps. Sorry, I really want to just make it smaller. Here it is. That inside the maps that start to appear through. And in fact, once we have this one, you can also start to move the different elements so you can fill your post or your Facebook advert or whatever you're using. And then in this case, for my libraries, I'm going to go ahead and place one of our images that she had from her website, and everything makes sense and everything ties together. And now you can also use more design assets. In this case, for example, I know this is almost time to go. I'm going to use a Polaroid to go ahead and start to, oops, not inside. Here we go. I'm just going to choose one quick. Here it is. I'm going to use this Polaroid and layer that on top as an asset, but you can find tape, you can find pin, you can find clip, and then you can use again shapes, maybe here to just give some room for her to write something else. So when you're on Instagram, you can write on top of the Polaroid, so on and so forth. And that's why you start to stretch the color of your brand and apply it everywhere, so it makes sense for the brand and it makes sense for the way that you communicate it inside your social media and you present it to the world. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this. Unfortunately, it is time to go. Don't forget to participate to Design Fix. We're here for you. Submit your request, iamkladi.com/designfix. Hit me up on I am Kladi, and thank you so much to Laura, and big up for our studio LVBrown and her wonderful work. I really hope you to see next week. Actually, next week is
Alex, so I will be with you in 2 weeks. Alex will be with you next week. Thank you so much for being here with me, and keep watching Adobe Live. I will see you very soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Ciao.